Hey there, Aries. So this is your ascendant forecast taking you from Monday the 22nd right the way through to Sunday the 28th of December 2025. We are really coming to the end of the year now. This is the last full week in December. And, last week was all action. We had Mars going into Capricorn, the Sun going into Capricorn, giving us the winter solstice or the summer solstice, according to whether you're north or south of the equator. We also had that amazing new moon in a conjunction with the galactic center. Lilith changed signs as well. Lots of squares. There's a lot of old stuff passing away to birth this new reality. I really like the coding of that particular week. But in this week, this, I would say, is calming to the nervous system. This is the one where we start to reset our nervous system. We come into a moment of calm repose. It's kind of sober. The Venus is going into the sign of Capricorn. There's not too much going on apart from all the usual moon sign movements, but we do have two particular planetary placements I'm going to be talking about. One of them is Venus in her square to Neptune, and the other is Mercury in his exact trine to Chiron. So I'm going to bring up all of that in just a second. But just to say, these forecasts that I do each week, I'm really looking at a planet to planet connection, and I'm applying it sort of in general to your week ahead or your month ahead according to your ascendant sign. But if ever you want to go deeper, i.e. with relationships and connections, or career, money and ambition, right now in my community, all of my additional forecasts are free. You can access them for free. You don't have to pay anything. You can join my community for zilch. So if that's of interest, if you like this and you want more, then just click on the link right at the end, and you can come sign up and join me there. It's where I do most of my chatting. So I'm not so talkative necessarily in my comments here, but I really do keep in touch with people in my community. Anyway, let's bring up my slides, which keep me on track. And before I go any further, just want to say a big thank you, obviously, to everybody that does contribute and help me out. I love you. Thank you so much. So these are the two charts I've got. The first one is from Monday the 22nd at midnight. And I should say these are set for the midpoint around the world, which is London. And then you'll notice that by the end of this, the moon is back into Aries. So we've gone all the way around, and the moon is into your own sign. Now, if when you look at your birth chart, by the way, if when you look at it, you notice that you have got Aries and also the symbol for Taurus in your first house, then that means you're using maybe a Placidus charting system or one of the others. What I would advise is that you also listen to the Taurus forecast, because you'll also get some really good context there as well. Anyway, so as you can see, there's not so much like last week. We had loads of different things that I was bringing up, but this one's going to be shorter. And so we're starting this, if I go, there we go. We're starting this week ahead. The moon's in Capricorn. And on Monday, the 22nd, the moon heads into the sign of Aquarius. Now, when the moon heads into Aquarius, the moon is also going to go into a conjunction with Pluto. Now, this is likely to bring up a very sort of intense feel on Monday, the 22nd, because, the moon and Pluto, when they come together, can really bring up themes of emotional manipulation, themes of feeling controlled and wanting to regain that sense of control back. Now, this is happening in your 11th house, so you may well feel that someone's trying to get the upper hand. So just watch out for what's going on in your mind. You might hear yourself telling stories about how you feel overpowered or what you might need to do to get back into power. My advice is this moon is going to pass through and beyond Pluto quite quickly. I always think it's much better to observe what's going on, but kind of step out of the power games. Other people might be playing it, but when the moon and Pluto come together, they can really spell a big sudden change of heart, or a big sudden shift. And if you're not really wanting to shift your life too much because you're quite happy with it, if in a moment of slight madness, which definitely the moon and Pluto can bring up, you might later come to regret it. So that's just a little FYI. At this point as well, the moon would also be in a trine with Uranus. And so that also amplifies whatever you're feeling with Pluto. So yeah, it could be bringing up some very, very powerful themes. Now, one way you might want to use this energy, especially seeing as it's highlighting the 11th house, which is about friendships and networks, and shared visions, you might want to use this energy to brainstorm or have some kind of meeting, where you're looking for all different possibilities with people. That kind of thing is really worth using that moon conjunct Pluto with, because it's likely to bring up some real richness. Then on the 24th, which is Wednesday, we've got the next big thing, which would be Venus in a square with Neptune. Exactly. Now, this is interesting because Venus and Neptune have a shared theme. They are both harmonics of love. Venus is the terrestrial, earthly love, and Neptune here is representing cosmic, or I don't want to say extraterrestrial, but maybe etheric love, like a spiritual love. And so you've got two different levels of the same kind of energy, but they're in a square together. And so it's not very easy. It's not readily easy to, it's just not easy to be able to work both of those love angles. You might either feel very kind of earthly and a bit conditioned or attached in how you're being loving, or you might flip to the sudden spiritual kind of loving. Now, what I do see with these squares are it creates this sense of rose-colored glasses. You might go a little bit too much into each of those energies, and so you might become so loving that you become over the top with loving. You might become almost impractical and striving for unconditional love. But remember, Neptune is quite a deceiver at times. Especially in a square, it's really difficult to know your wood for the trees with Neptune, because you could really get kind of whipped up into the frenzy of an idea of your imagination. And so I wouldn't take what comes up with that too seriously. Allow this energy to expand your vision and to fill you with love, but please don't take it too seriously that you're almost fooling yourself. It's I know that sounds kind of cruel. I think it can bring up this sense of divinity, but does that divinity exist beyond the nice event? This is the kind of energy that if you're going on a first date with somebody who who you've got really high hopes for, this is the kind of energy that I see that comes up where we have our hopes dashed. Something seems too good to be true, and then we realize, oh my God, and so there is this kind of dissolving expectations energy with Neptune in the square to Venus, in particular because Venus is in the 9th house, which is really high. So you've got these high ideals about what love's going to bring you. And then Neptune in the 12th house is slightly hidden. You might be doing this to yourself. You might be looking into things, reading into things, and you can have a lot of longing and a sense of nostalgia with this. So I would advise you to have some caution. Later on in the day, Venus is going to go into the sign of Capricorn, and then she's going to become a little bit more sober, a bit more grown up. She's going to feel the responsibility of love. You'll be feeling the boundaries of love. So, just from that, you can see that, the Venus energy is high as a kite. And then straight after, on the same day, she's coming back down to earth. And, she is being kind of responsible love, practical love, really wanting to hold love in a particular shape. And so these two Venus movements seem almost incompatible. But how I see it working is it can open you up to a new potential, and then you start to create with it. You might start to ground the love, but it's important that you can keep it like openly realistic, if that makes sense. So yeah, I hope Wednesday goes well. I mean, if you're a creative artist or a musician or somebody who works with spirit and energies. I think your energies are going to be all over the place, but they could actually take you somewhere that is full of surprises. It's a very, very strong day for Venus, but it could also be a little bit treacherous as well, because there's definitely this sort of boundary thing going on. Then Thursday the 25th, by this point, the moon is into the sign of Pisces, and the moon's going to be in your 12th house, which is usually a time when you're quite quiet and a little bit more reserved than usual. You're not normally wanting to do too much, which on the 27th, that's Saturday, the start of the weekend, the moon is into your first house, into the sign of Aries. And when that happens, you'll be a lot more active, a lot more verbal, a lot more visible. You'll be wearing your heart on your sleeve. You'll be raring for a party, probably feeling a bit oversensitive. And then as we're coming into Sunday, the 28th, we've got this Mercury in a trine with Chiron. And if I just go to that, there you can see it. Mercury is in a trine to Chiron. You'll also see that the moon is in a conjunction with Chiron at the same time. Now, this is a pretty magical and also highly sensitive, energetic when it comes about. Mercury in a trine to Chiron can create healing conversations where we have gentle breakthroughs, and they can be quite quick breakthroughs as well, especially seeing as the moon's involved. The moon is super quick. And Mercury is a little bit slower, but still super quick. So this could be a real sort of like quick and gentle turnaround, a quick and loving, or a quick and feminine or youthful turnaround. Mercury is quite youthful. The moon is quite feminine. Old wounds and wisdom are coming up to be relieved. And I think there's a beautiful sense of insight. So Aries, what I see is from the start of this week to the end of this week, you're on a journey that absolutely opens you up to potential, brings you into a grounded reality, and then brings you to this opportunity for some gentle healing, some gentle acceptance, some relief, some insight, and to move into position for the new year. I really like this. I think this last week, if anything, is just clearing the tracks. And it's really clearing out the 9th house, which is a very, very idealistic part of your chart. And finally, it's also clearing out your identity so that as the new year comes in, you're raring to go, fresh as a daisy, with space for some different ideals. So hope that's helpful. Remember, if you do want more forecasts, then just go to www.school, that's SKOOL.com/feelgoodastrology. And there's there's an extra 7 forecasts for you every week, just if you're listening to Aries. So anyway, have a beautiful one and catch up with you next time. Lots of love.